Hello, my Xim community. Today we are going to be doing the much requested video by none other than you, how to find our aim sensitivity, whether it be on Xim or on a PC game. Let's jump right in. Alright guys, so first and foremost, before we jump into any game, you need to know your mouse DPI. That is the most important thing to start off with any configuration, with any tuning of your sensitivity in any game, whether it be on PC or we're using the Xim. So to start off, I know I'm on 800 DPI for this particular mouse. So let's jump into, we don't go to Ravenholm anymore. I had this pre-saved. So let's take a smaller mouse pad. The first test that we are going to run is our 360 test. And what that means is we're going to go from one end of the mouse pad and see if we can achieve a full 360 going to the other end. And I cannot. My door is my point of reference and we did not land there. So you don't have to make dramatic increases in sensitivity. So here we're just going to go up by 0.50. So let's get that to about 70. Yeah, 69 is fine. And now let's see from one end to the other. And I got a full 360. So if I go from the center to the side, I got a 180. Okay, so the 360 test is so crucial to get that first initial general idea of where about your sense needs to be. So now how do we start fine-tuning this? Well, just to show you guys, my mouse pad, my area of play usually ends about here. Not what I wanted to do. So we're going to go back into the mouse setting and drop this back to 30. Alright, so just one last time to show you the 360 test. Okay, so the second thing that we need to test is the fine-tuning of it. And now we don't need to practice that on moving targets just yet. Moving targets and continually target practicing and training, that is to build muscle memory. But how do we find exactly the right sense for you? Well, you're going to aim at some stationary objects, and you're going to start bouncing in between them. If I start going over this target, and I'm noticing a consistent pattern where I'm not landing on it, and you're going to do this more than once. You're not just going to go, oh, I went over it once, so my sensitivity is too high. Like, no, you're building muscle memory in doing this too. But so if you start going over your targets, your sensitivity is too high and you need to drop it. But it has to be consistently, guys. If it happens once in a while, that's fine. You overshot your movement with your wrist. It happens. We're all human. Now, if you're undershooting your target consistently, your sensitivity is too low. That's a general rule of thumb. And the third thing that we're going to try and test out here is going to be your ability to target track. So actually, let's go back under here. Let's try and limit how many of these guys we have. And so we got some fast scurriers. So now in a game like this, obviously, yeah, I found a spot where I can practice my aim. And this is a good spot. I've saved it. I go back to it whenever I really want to practice my aim and track some targets. But now let's go to the Xim, because the Xim is going to be slightly different. Alright guys, so we're now in Apex Legends running the Xim on an Xbox Series X. And for the most part, like I said, there's going to be some slight differences, and those slight differences are going purely to have to do with one, we're going to have aim assist on targets like the dummies, and two, we are not going to be able to flick shots like on PC games. And I'm going to show you an example of that. So I have my controller right here. This is not the one that's plugged into the Xim, obviously. That is sitting underneath my desk, so you can see me playing with it. And I'm going to be flicking the thumbstick essentially like this. And this is the movement that we are getting. And that is precisely the same action that we are doing when we are trying to flick shots. So now, picture this as a giant thumbstick that we are manipulating. And now, yes, I've explained all the other settings in the other videos for the Xim, but now we're just talking about sensitivity. But still keep this in mind that we are utilizing a thumbstick and this is not a true PC mouse and keyboard. Now, same principle, 360 test is always where I like to start off. I'm within my bounds. The line should have been actually right here. So we'll do that one more time. Point of reference is going to be the dummy. And I'm more or less within my rounds. Technically, I could actually drop my sensitivity by 0.10. And now, depending on your DPI, and like I said at the beginning of the video, knowing your DPI is so important because depending on your DPI is going to affect how you're going to be adjusting this, like what intervals you're going to be adjusting this. Obviously, lower DPI values are going to require higher sensitivity adjustments in the Xim Manager app. Now, this is another reason why I like using high DPI mice for the Xim in particular, because I can play with 0.10s and get my desired effect. So I could actually even drop this down from 2.80 or 2.90 to 2.70 and probably get a better effect. So let's say that's the line right there. Let's just do this one more time to see. And I'm right there. I'm right on my point. So I actually don't need to adjust this anymore. But like I mentioned in the other video, if I'm running it on a different size mouse pad, guys, you're going to need to adjust your sensitivity accordingly. Right? Look at that. I'm getting 3/4 of a turn there instead of a full 360. I'm getting that 3/4 spin. So I would actually have to up the sensitivity if I'm using a smaller mouse pad. And that would also determine, am I going to be playing more with my wrist or am I going to be using more my arm? Now, I'm a bit of a hybrid player when it comes to this, whether it be on console or on PC, because I have a tendency of liking a nice smooth feel. And if I want to do wider turns, I'm going to end up using my arm. And for fine aim, I tend to use my wrist. So, and like in Half-Life, the thing after that we're going to be doing is hopping between these targets. Same principle again is going to apply. If I'm undershooting my targets, we're going to increase our sensitivity. If I'm overshooting my targets, we're going to decrease. Now, the last thing, like in Half-Life, practice makes perfect. Building that muscle memory requires you to practice. Now, I chose Apex because Apex has this beautiful firing range where we have nice moving targets with actual acceleration. We can turn the dummies on to have some semblance of character movement unpredictability. You have nice, very long range targets. You have a ping system, so that's going to tell me this target's about 300 to 400 meters away. They're 366, so we're going to line this up just a little bit in the middle. So taking advantage of all of these offline aspects, I know we need to be online to play the game, but we don't need to play with actual players here. Taking advantage of all of this stuff is what's going to help you refine your sensitivity. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on future content and hit the like button if this video helped. I will catch you in the next one.